Hello again. This is episode 2 of the Shui with James Tolf and Pratik Trehan, or as they called, the P and J
Nice.
and the Shui. Um, just wanted to start off one episode today. Um, so Tolf, tell me, how's everything in New Brunswick?
I'm over here in St. John, New Brunswick, and everything's a little bit dreary, but it's still warm. It's starting to cool down though. Give it another 100 days, and it's going to be a little bit colder up here in Canada.
Oh my God, yeah, you guys are into the cold winter season. But even when I was younger, I remember when I used to travel to Canada for my cousin's thing. It was always nice to have like late summers, like late days during the summer, right? Like you didn't even have to worry about it. Right?
Yeah, like sometimes it's like 10 o'clock and it's still light outside, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Sun pops up, and you just have a lot more day during your summers.
Did
So
you
you can
enjoy
just
that?
yeah. I mean, if it's nice waking up to the sun. It's totally different than say Georgia, where I was raised. It's 7 hours consistently, right? It varies maybe an hour, but not as drastic as it does up here.
Oh, that's
So
fair.
yeah, so you get a
So,
lot more done in the warm months than you do in the cold months.
well, that's what I was actually said, actually. Like I'd probably like that. I'd probably enjoy that a lot more myself. Um, Georgia weather's so sporadic. I didn't even realize something like Irma could affect us so much, even to this point. Yeah.
Was it that bad? Like I saw the hurricanes and everything that it was coming up. Was it that bad?
Well, I was actually in San Francisco at the time, but from what people told me, power was out for at least 36 hours. So, I mean,
Oh
I guess
wow.
it was pretty bad. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm curious to see what happens to like Houston and all these like cities now. The I think it's Hurricane Jose that's coming through now in Puerto Rico and a few of the other areas in the Gulf
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
always weird with that because like we've had multiple hurricanes hit, the Gulf Coast and certain parts of Florida, and they always say like we will rebuild, and I'm like, why? Like not in the same place? Why? Because it's the hurricanes hit the same place over and over again. Why not move the entire city in a little bit? Like learn from your mistakes. But then, some people try to build a better wheel, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I guess there's an I guess you can't structurally. There are some businesses that are still there, right? In
Yeah.
those areas, right? It's kind of hard to pick up and move, I guess. But like you said, you're correct though. I mean, something like California, which is like built on a fault line, is due for like a big earthquake pretty soon, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we,
I
we
mean,
could have the Hollywood stars crack open anytime soon, or
I
anytime.
know
Yeah.
it's a scary thing to think about. I mean, the last one was in '89, the big one. They've earthquake proofed a lot of the city, but I'll be curious to see what happens. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places in that are better off for like businesses and stuff like that, like Nevada.
oh yeah,
Um,
you had talked about Nevada earlier, possibly being a contender for the new Amazon headquarters. Is that right?
yeah. So just in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, Amazon just recently has a bidding war, a $5 billion bidding war, and it's for it's trying to get their city to become the headquarters for Amazon. And I was saying that Nevada has zero corporate tax rate. They have little to no flooding. They have no tornadoes. Okay, you have a little bit of heat. That's the what you're going to be dealing with. But if you have data centers, you can just put them underground. Uh, I think Nevada would be like the perfect place. Either Nevada, Wyoming, which is also zero corporate tax rate. Um, Delaware zero corporate tax rate, and Florida zero corporate tax rate and zero income tax rate. But then again, you don't want to go to Florida because there's constantly hurricanes, as we've seen recently.
You basically want to be in an area where there's very little chance of natural disaster, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you want to have the business to go as smoothly as possible, unless you're trying to like get as much insurance money or something like that. Unless you're trying to do something non-business kind of shady-ish.
You mean like life insurance?
Yeah, like if you have like this business insurance on all of your real or yeah on your real estate, and then your
Yeah.
real estate gets demolished, and then you collect the insurance, and then you just get rid of the company. I don't know. That's just that's a shady business practice or something. I would say just don't do that.
Unethical business practices.
Unethical
Well,
business practices. Yeah.
well, we're coming to the era now. I feel like um, we're becoming more ethical business people in general. But I mean, I understand the need to build in a business friendly environment, though. What actually what you had recommended would be something like Nevada would be pretty good. Um, Airport wise, all you could do is just basically build outward from Vegas, right? Assuming that Amazon were to build something like that in an area, you would want them to build something like in Vegas or something like that. Maybe not
Yeah.
Reno or something else, but
We were talking about that last episode. Is that, that Tony Hsieh has his whole investment after he sold Zappos for $1 billion. He ended up investing a lot of infrastructure into it's like $300 million into infrastructure just into the northern Las Vegas area. So if they put their headquarters in Las Vegas, then they would just be following a trend. Oops.
well, yeah. I mean, I'd be curious to see how that actually functions. It seems like
And
sorry.
well, I was just gonna say the Gigafactory with Tesla, that's right outside of Reno. So I could see Nevada
What's the
becoming.
Gigafactory?
The Gigafactory is Elon Musk. He's going to be creating the battery factory of the future, and so that's where he's created right outside of Reno is the Gigafactory. It's basically a battery factory.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you think California being is becoming less of a hospitable environment for business?
I think that they maybe because they're jacking their minimum wage up just because people they don't have enough money to live. Yeah, I could see that. Their taxes is some of the highest, like 13% or 14%.
For small
Uh,
business?
Yeah, well, I just know for just normal income. I don't know what it is for businesses. I haven't looked that up. I just know that if you are a business in California, if you incorporate in California, it's the hardest to get away from California. So if you incorporate in say Atlanta or I'm sorry Georgia, and then you say, oh no, I want to move over to South Carolina, and you try to move your business over to South Carolina, it's generally not as that hard. But California likes to hold on to its businesses, and so if you say no, I'm going to be living in Nevada now, you have to. There's a lot more legal rigmarole, from my understanding. Uh, from what I've read online. So take that for a grain of salt.
No, no, absolutely. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people move to California for the lifestyle, though. I mean, it's beautiful out there, like
totally.
beaches and everything. But you know, it's almost like they fixed the cost based off of how Californians spend money and not how the rest of the United States spend money. You have about 60 million people on the West Coast, and then you have another 90 million on the East Coast. Makes you think, why are we limiting our scope to basically just you know what like 1/5 of the population? I mean,
Yeah, I mean
obviously
it's the
incomes vary quite incredibly, but
I was just thinking that they kind of operate like a country, like Texas and California. Like they're some of the largest economies in the world. They're not
right.
operating like a state. They're not asking for handouts. They're producers uh, within the nation. So I just add on to that. You can't really look at them like states anymore. They're really their own entity.
And at one point, they actually, Texas at least strive for independence themselves. And slowly after, there was an entire movement for California after Trump got elected for
It
secession
collects
from
it.
the Union. Yeah, the Colegza, I believe it was. They're trying to
Yeah,
make Obama like ruler of
the ruler
Cali.
of
Yeah,
that, or
King
they're gonna
Cali.
call it Pacifica or something like that. It was like Oregon and yeah,
I don't know. I think I don't think the days of Silicon Valley are
finished.
totally
No,
gone, but I do think it won't be. But I do think that they are on their way out. I mean, at least newer companies are starting to maybe see the potential outside of San Francisco, which I think is good though. I mean, I think you can't limit the wealth just to one area either. The one thing I noticed when I was in Cali was the people that live and work in the city of San Francisco, or sorry, the people that work in the city, at least like the more blue collar jobs, people can't afford to live in the city, which is like
yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, you can't really have an economy based on that. You need to have a proper environment for everyone to thrive. But
So there's a article out there. I think the guy's name's Kurt Mulker or something. I just know his name's Kurt, and he created a YouTube series and a blog around him living in his car in San Francisco for something like 9 months, and he was a product designer, right? And
Mhm.
it went viral. Like him living in his car, he was just showing about how he's living in the back of his Honda Civic, and he saved up all this money so he could afford a down payment on his rent.
Right.
Um, so I went back and looked. This article came out in like 2013. So actually, I looked it up today, and the guy is like I don't know if he's the head, but he's a product designer in Dropbox, which is a pretty big corporation. So I was like, did he get that because he had the hustle, or because he ended up getting um, his article and his journey got picked up, right? Are people investing in his journey, or are people investing in his skills? Because they saw these articles, and it ended up getting up a lot of news traction. And I was like, is this guy, a lot of people, is he getting a lot of eyeballs because of his skills, or just because he's able to put a positive spin on his career at the beginning of his career?
Well, is he still working for Dropbox now, or is there any updated article on him?
Yeah. If you gave me a minute, I could probably look it up. But yeah, I looked it up today, and he's he's still working. It says he's working for Dropbox.
That's a whole lifestyle. There's like an entire Reddit group dedicated to people turning their vans into like livable housing,
Yeah.
like mobile housing. I mean, these things are pretty amazing. It's like a
Oh, that's
dorm
another thing I was
room.
gonna say. He got an
Sorry.
entire map of where he spent the night, and it was perfectly, because it's something about in the jurisdiction of San Francisco that it's perfectly legal to sleep in your car now. Like some places, some cities make it illegal or give you a citation, but it's perfectly legal in San Francisco now. So he gave like the best locations for safety, and so I thought that was crazy. So I downloaded all of them. And I was like, well, now I can sleep in my car in San Francisco if I ever feel like you know venturing out and
Yes.
trying to be any type of invest in my what's the word I'm looking for, internet career.
Any dreams of moving to San Francisco, James?
Um, I would like to go. I'd like to meet with the people because there's the idea of admission. So some people, if you get free, if you're able to get into a conference for free, then you're gonna get people that are going to free conferences, right? But if you're gonna pay
Sure.
$1,000 to get into a conference, then this is going somewhere, I promise. If you're paying $1,000 to get into a conference,
Yeah.
then those people are there for a reason, right? They paid $1,000 to get into that conference to talk to everybody that's in there or whoever's in there, right? They're gonna make that mean something. And so when you go to Silicon Valley or the Valley, these people are paying tons of money just to be in that ethos, right? And so these people are here for a reason, and they're trying to make it, and they're working hard to make it. And so there's
The
something to
game
be
changers.
said
Yeah.
to paying the big ticket to be there. You're dealing with quality people, right? You're not dealing with somebody that
Correct.
was had a blue collar job, and then he's like, oh, let me try coding, and then I'll join a startup over in Cincinnati. And not that that's a bad thing, but he has something to fall back on. People that are in, seems like in San Francisco, like they're there, like it's either make or break type thing.
Yeah, for a lot
That's
of people, I mean, the dream is to be have a the social network kind of story, except maybe a better ending where you're still friends with people you got up to the top. Um, yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
that's
even sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say that I think that's I think that the movie probably did the actual reality. Probably it was probably disingenuous a little bit to an extent.
Well, I
My
was always
personal opinion.
curious if those. I've actually read that the scenes in the movie with the where they're in arbitration are actually real. Like those are actually the context. So when he's talking to Mark and them talking to the lawyers and stuff, that's actually taken from the actual. Uh,
Oh, from the actual dialogue that was said during
yeah, because
the
they have to have
indictment.
a stenographer that like writes down all the things that they say. So
Yeah,
I mean, it makes you think like how crazy some of that stuff that was said in that room was. Yeah, and the whole thing with Mark Zuckerberg walking into the VC's firm like with a fuck you, I'm Mark Zuckerberg type of mentality. I think he had that card right.
right.
Fuck you, I'm Mark or something like that.
Kind of to go back
Some
to
of
the
those things
original.
are.
Oh,
Sorry.
good.
No, I was gonna say that I heard that some of that stuff was actually true, but I mean, it's just really crazy to think even some of that stuff was real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just clearing my
No, I was
thoughts.
just going. I was going to go off the fact that see, those are the people that I was talking about before. Is like those people are struggling, and those are the type of people you want to be around in Silicon Valley or anywhere really. You want to be where people are wanting to be. That they're putting all their time and attention because it costs so much money for the admission.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think a lot of them are starting to realize that their businesses too, their bottom line has to match their investors and their shareholders, right?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what kind of business you have. Can you outsource that technology to somewhere else, like Columbus, Ohio, or the Philippines, or you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Even something as simple as working workers like engineers and stuff, or on those the high trench of like H-1B1 visas flowing through the city. I mean, you had to cut costs on that too. Well, San Francisco is actually really unique in the sense that the tour guide said that 67% of the city itself is actually uh, is actually not made up of native Californians. So you got to think about that. How crazy is that? Though? If you think about people are like big dreamers out there, you
Transient
know,
city, yeah.
very transient. Yeah, so it makes you think about a lot of stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
because you're
really
getting
crazy. But
it's kind of like a high school then, because you're getting a whole bunch. Because when you're in high school, you have everybody from their different backgrounds, higher economic status, lower economic status, and so you're kind of just there, and you're kind of trying to get as much. You pick up a lot from people's different backgrounds. Kind of the same idea.
well, I that makes me curious if Amazon would even think about moving their HQ uh, to Silicon Valley again. But that they already have a big office in Seattle right now, in the West Coast, so they might not end up doing that. But be interesting to
What
see.
is it for sure? I didn't read the full article. Was it always in America, or are they talking about going international or
No, they're limiting it to
America?
cities. No, actually, in Canada and the U.S.,
Okay.
depending on corporate tax rates and stuff. There was
I know
a
Manitoba has a free corporate tax rate, but they make you pay out the butt for equipment. So if you're a business and you're buying lots of equipment or machinery or something like that, then you have to pay a lot of on property tax on that.
Do you know what the rate is?
No, not offhand. I just know that because we have an oil refinery here in New Brunswick, and even though our personal income tax is a little high, the oil refinery pays like lower property tax than like a lot of the residents, and it's because they own a lot of equipment, which a refinery is basically lots of equipment, and it's the biggest one in Canada, and then you have one out in like Manitoba, and they pay out it's like half the size, not even half the size, and it pays more taxes than this one does in like 2 years, 3 years.
Holy
So
crap,
there was
it's
a big
crazy.
uproar about that. Yeah, so it's what your business is going to be based around. So if they're going to headquarters in Canada, um, I'm wondering, is it going to be a lot of equipment based, or is it just going to be a lot of administration, or like what's that involved? Like, if your headquarters, what are you going to be doing? Like Amazon does like everything, you know.
Well, they could even keep it to like where's FedEx located in Memphis, right? Be
Is
curious.
it okay? Not sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think when I read about FedEx, the guy who created it, he essentially wanted something that was visible and had no fog, so that's the reason he chose Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
I did not know that. FedEx headquarters. That's cool.
I don't know if you ever heard his story, the Frederick Smith's.
No.
He had a really interesting one. From what I've read, it's essentially like when he was in college, he was a student. He had I think it was like Harvard Business School or something. He had pitched the idea of a delivery company around the world, and he got a C minus on her. C like for it was an entrepreneurship class, and
Yeah.
they gave him a C on it. So he was like, "I'll create it one day," and he went from that to creating it in a in in the Memphis area. So he actually created something that he got a C for from his uh,
Yeah.
from his business
Totally.
class. It was kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So don't if you think you have a good idea, it's just stick with it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who would have figured that Amazon would have been the way to send packages? I mean, send it would actually outdo brick and mortar stores. Yeah. But I agree with you. I think that Amazon will do really well in Vegas though if it ends up moving there. Hopefully Georgia, because I may be a little biased, but
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, because you're in Georgia, and
yeah,
I'm from Georgia.
because you're from Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that there is a bit of parcel area around where I live that they're talking about moving it to Atlantic Station. They're talking about taking, but I mean, if they do take 50,000 jobs, it could literally transform the entire area. They probably do need something, someplace less congested, though. I imagine.
yeah. I've been seeing like people just complain on my Facebook from back home, just saying, Atlanta, why are we building more roads? You know,
Yeah,
is
that's
it
your
that
tax
bad?
dollar going to work.
Is the spaghetti junction that huge?
It is, but it's come to the point now where I feel like anyone, and everyone who talks about Atlanta, they just say, "What about that traffic, though? Like there isn't nothing else. There's nothing else. Like we have nothing else to offer. Like the Braves or just the whole scene like is great. We have different areas like Virginia Highlands and Buckhead that are really popular. I mean, it's just we're known for more than just even congested
Yeah, back
traffic.
roads of Southern Charm. I mean,
And
that's
Southern
pretty much
Charm. Yeah,
that's every country song, isn't it? It's like dirt roads and country charm.
it's,
Yeah,
it essentially is. Yeah,
yeah,
I've heard Nashville has a big startup scene now too. They're starting to get one. Yeah,
really.
yeah.
So is
So you
you
see,
got your eye on Nashville?
no, no. I would hope my next move would be Austin. Actually, I don't know. I've
Sticking
been
with the
having a
Austin.
sticking with the Austin. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think if you're gonna start a business, it's probably one of the better places too.
definitely. They got the Dellionaires over there. Hey, do you know about that or?
No, tell me a little bit about that. Actually, I'm
That
curious.
from my understanding, that's where Dell, like back in like the early
Michael
2000s.
Dell.
Yeah. No, well, yeah,
Hmm.
but I was talking about Dell Computers, the company, uh, which
Hmm.
obviously he ran. But there's like late 90s, early 2000s is they doubled down on all of their customer service, right? And so they had lots of call centers in Austin, Texas.
Hmm.
And so people chose stock options rather than, like bonuses and stuff like that. So because of that, the stock went through the roof because they were focusing on all of this customer service, and people really liked the idea of being able to pick up the phone back in 1998 and talk about this thing called a computer and this thing called the internet, because some people just didn't understand exactly everything that was going on, and to have someone on the other line was like a godsend. And so people bought more computers, and they had a lot of customer loyalty because of that. That shot up their stock prices. So the people that chose stock options rather than bonuses ended up becoming, very profitable, thus the term Dellionaire rather than millionaire. Uh, and so you have a lot of investors, people with access to extra cash to invest in startup ideas over in Austin, Texas. So yeah, that's why it's kind of like a mini Silicon Valley of the South, I guess you could say.
Silicon Prairie, they call it. I think
Silicon Prairie, we were talking
Prairie.
about
Yeah,
last episode. Yeah.
yeah. Well, no, it's is that Dallas or is that Austin?
Oh, well, that was you. Was telling me it was Silicon Prairie. I've never heard that before. I just had heard that it was the tech
Well,
capital of the South.
Dell is, or I mean, sorry,
No,
Austin or
I've heard
Dallas.
Austin was like the tech capital, but
I've
that could
heard
have changed. I remember we had this conversation like years ago, and so it could have changed within 7 years.
Well, I think proximity wise, I think they're about 4 or 5 hours from each other. But yeah, I mean, you're probably right about that. I've also read that. Well, I know that Austin has a really strong startup scene too. A lot of people are trying to move there because of uh, how cheap the land is, and you can live fairly reasonably with that.
Well,
Uh,
speaking on
Sorry,
taxes,
go.
I was going to throw in my 3 cents. Um,
Sure.
the property tax in Texas is like the highest. Well, not the highest, but it's higher because they have zero corporate tax rate and their income tax rate is low. I think it's zero. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Sure.
But because of that, property taxes is super high uh, because they need to get money somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
People build big houses too. So everything's big in Texas is not like just a
Right.
saying. I think they have stadiums like high school like stadiums that are like 50,000 fans or something. I couldn't even tell you last time I went to a high school football game, but
Right.
I mean, if you're talking about these massive properties in Texas, yeah.
Have you been? I've
But I mean,
never been. I've actually never been to
I've
Texas.
only ever been to Dallas, and I
Okay.
went to all the tourist traps when I was down there. Which is kind of morbid because I went to the Kennedy where Kennedy got shot over at Daly Plaza,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it was just like one of those things where you walk in and you're like, why is there an exhibit for this? Like, why are we celebrating something that's like tragic? And you can
Right.
see from the window where he got shot and like where Lee Harvey Oswald took his shot. I mean, there's like conspiracy theorists outside the Dealey Plaza smoking
Yeah.
cigarettes, going like, "Hey, you don't know the real story. Give me $20 and I'll tell you what what really
Oh,
happened."
really? There's like some people that are selling like star maps over in Hollywood. They're doing the same thing for JFK over in
Well,
was it Fort
yeah, it's
Worth?
like it's like let me give you my own personal tour and
Right.
I'll show you what really happened. Yeah. It's,
Yeah. Like it's
yeah,
that's
and it's like and it's always those conspiracy theorists that the guys who always like, they smoke a couple of drags of their cigarette and you're like, oh shit, so they must know something. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because they have the cigarette, right?
Not a cigarette, yeah, because
Yeah, that proves
that's the
everything. Yeah.
that proves everything, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
No,
And then they put it
it's
out very
it's
dramatically and their point is proven. It's
exactly,
like they're
exactly,
done, and then it's like, okay, wow, I can't really compete with that. He put his cigarette out, and that guy's pretty smart. I need a cigarette.
yeah. You're like, man, this guy must know something. I mean, he's
Seriously,
smoking,
man, Marlboros,
he's
and he's
smoking
like,
American spirits.
yeah, just he's like
Yeah,
throwing his hands around,
yeah,
smoking cigarettes. Yeah,
that's it.
totally.
Yeah, like he knows something about that you don't know. Yeah,
Obviously,
like big
because
tobacco.
tobacco. Yeah, it's there's smoke coming out of his hands.
He knows something more than I do. I'm sure.
Right. It's, that's the subliminal marketing over the last 70 years being shoved into our head, and we're just spewing it back out. Yeah, it's like
Well, I've read that a lot of. So now that vaping is actually more popular now.
yeah,
Yeah, I personally, I mean, from my own like anecdotal evidence, I mean, my parents have like a store here in
yeah.
Augusta, and uh, we haven't really been selling that much vaping, but apparently it's starting to catch on a lot more now too. I don't know if it's better for your lungs or anything, but it's supposed to be a healthier option, right? I
Yeah.
believe, but
So you guys sell here's a question. You guys sell wraps, vaping stuff and cigarettes?
yep. So wraps, sell vaping sick stuff. So the
So what
wraps
do
are
you
an
sell
interesting.
more on hand? Just cigarettes?
Depends. Two best sellers are probably Marlboro Lights and Newport cigarettes. It really
Newports.
isn't Newports. Yeah, people love Newports, man. The menthol thing is big. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Forget that, man. It's supposed to recrystallize in your lungs. I don't smoke, but like I just know through my family smokes, so it's like that menthol cigarettes, it recrystallizes in your lungs. Don't smoke menthol.
It's very addictive. I definitely see why people are like addicted to it. I mean, most people tell me, "Oh, I smoke when I drink," but that can also backfire too.
Yeah,
It makes it easier just to like want to do more. I mean, yeah, I mean, believe in everyone's right to do whatever they want to their own body. Though, I mean, that's a very American true statement. There, I
it's a
feel like,
very American thing to say. Yes,
very American thing to say. Yeah,
I want my 3 liter Coke, my cigarettes, and my Reese's peanut butter cup king size.
all in one buy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. The fact that we have Diet Coke makes life really interesting. Wouldn't it be better just to have Coke and then no soda, like at all, right? Like,
To this day, I still don't understand why they serve Diet Coke at a buffet. It doesn't make any sense. Like you're there to indulge,
yeah,
right? Why are you going on the Diet Coke? Why not just go for the regular Coke? That's
you're
that's
right.
my
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, just
calories are calories, right? And
yeah,
actually,
live it up,
when you
live it
drink
up a
Diet
little
Coke, you get
bit.
hungrier.
If you're gonna go
Yeah,
to the Golden
absolutely.
Corral, for those people who don't know what that is, basically a huge buffet down in the South. I like to call it the Golden Trough. It's basically like 10, $12, and you can pretty much eat galore, like
Your
massive
heart's
portions.
desire.
Yeah,
Yeah, old people from all around started like their early bird dinner over there. I know they have like discount specials for everyone. So
Yeah,
Were you a
definitely.
big fan? I know a lot of people used to go there for Thanksgiving and stuff too.
Well, I worked at a country buffet called Ryan's for well over 2 years, which was their competitor. So I know a little bit about
Hmm.
the buffet system. It's
Isn't that
yeah,
how you bought your first piece of land? I think you ever told me the story.
what's that? Oh yeah, that's well yeah, that's when I was like 19 years old, and then I turned 20 like 2 months later, and I was working as a waiter and bought myself a piece of land out in
Nice.
South Carolina.
Where, whatever happened to that? Are you still in charge of that, or do you still
I'm still in
pay?
charge of it. Yeah, I still own her. Yeah, still own
Okay,
it.
still under it. Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Aiken, South Carolina. So
Aiken, South Carolina.
yep. Hop, skip, and a
God,
jump.
I mean,
Actually, not anymore. If you're in Atlanta, so in Augusta, it was like what 30, 45 minutes drive, and then you're there.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it was
This whole
the
area's
nice thing.
changed so much. Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I believe it. The whole area down there is in Windsor. Windsor and Aiken is like a zoned equestrian, which is kind of cool. So you see horses driving around. Not driving around. The horses aren't driving, but you see horses and like horse-drawn carriages down in Aiken, South Carolina. But yeah, the whole area has changed. I saw that last time I went back in 2012.
Have you been offered any money for the piece of land as of recent?
Yeah, it was before the 2009 crash. People were emailing me wanting to buy the property, but I haven't gotten anything since then. I could put it up for sale, but then again, it's just a piece of land with a well and septic and a power pole. You know, it's something could be put up there today if I wanted to. That was essentially the idea. If I wanted to move, back to the south, I could. I just need to get down there.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, Aiken started to become a
Retirement community.
big retirement community and a big attraction for people who um, like to play golf too. I think we've had a lot of
Well,
celebrities come to that new golf course.
yeah, because they were. What did they do there? They did. Oh, I keep.
Who's your caddy?
No, yeah.
Movie.
No, so since we both have a lot of mutual friends, and I'm always scrolling through Facebook, there just seems to be something about people dress up in these very southern Annabelle type suits, and they're going to what's that called?
Oh, you're talking about the horsing event. You're talking about.
Yeah, the horsing. What is it called though? Was there's like a certain name for it?
I looked it up. I
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of horsing events in Aiken, South Carolina. So like but I constantly see like people wearing these very southern outfits that you would have seen back in like the 1920s, 1930s or something, but something they don't wear anymore. But they were doing it for the horsing
steeplechase.
event. Steeplechase.
Steeplechase.
That's exactly
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I think they have several events throughout the year, but I think their big one is like after the Kentucky Derby. But I've heard a lot of equestrians come down there. I mean, it's not. I really thought equestrian riding was like a southern thing, but it's actually pretty
Mm.
world renowned. Yeah, I think I met some equestrians from like Chicago and California when I was out there one time. I think I was at a bar and I had spoken to some people. I was just like shocked by how big of a following it has. I mean, it's a very proper sport, though. Yeah, like you said.
Another thing that's really I didn't realize this because it's not an American thing, but up here in Canada, um, there's a lot more people from India, right? That I've ran into, and cricket is massive, like in like the Indian community here, and so they have a local league. I think it's called the St. John Dragons, and the Canada team, right? The Canadian team, national Canadian cricket team, has picked people out of the St. John Dragons and certain places in Canada, right? So I was like,
Really?
oh, that's pretty cool that since the population of Canada is only like 37 million, and population of America is like 317 million, it's harder to find talent, so it's easier to get to the top of a game or whatever the game is, right? And so I was like, oh, that'd be really cool. You could be at the top of the game of cricket, even though I've never played in my entire life. Of course, it's probably super hard, and I probably would lose terribly. Anybody that ever plays cricket probably is going to bash me in the comments and tell me
What
that.
it makes you think like why I didn't really catch on in the U.S. though. You know, I mean, I
It's
think
just the
now
British.
they're yeah. I mean, they're even now they're trying to reintroduce soccer to the South with the Atlanta United, and they just sold out the stadium, like 70,000
Oh,
fans for the biggest MLS event ever. So I mean,
That's cool.
there's definitely a want and need for something new in the U.S., which is good. I mean, yeah.
That's the thing is, are they going to call it soccer the entire time that it's in America? Or are they going to finally switch it over to the word football? Because
It's $1 billion sport. I mean, I
it
imagine
really
they
is.
want
It's
to.
a
It's a
massive sport.
massive
Like,
sport. I mean,
yeah.
talking about $1 billion teams. I mean, God. I mean, Home Depot was this big sponsor of the Atlanta United, but I mean, um, even the owner is like, his whole thing was that he really loved soccer, and he never got a chance to promote it, or
Have
there
you ever
wasn't a
read the
big,
book Soccernomics?
no, do tell.
Okay, it talks about like the eye of keeping the eye on the ball, or the eye of America is not on soccer now, right? And so that the book was laying out that if America ever did decide or start leaning towards the soccer, uh, that they would probably dominate, because it's kind of like the Yankees. It's like they have the money to produce to develop the players or scout the players from around the world.
Oh
You
wow,
know,
makes sense. Yeah.
so it was an interesting book, and it was talking about how right now it's trying to enter the American market, and if it enters the the book talks about a whole bunch of stuff, but that was the one thing I picked up on. I was like, oh wow, if it enters the American market and people actually catch on to soccer, then it potentially might dominate the sport. That makes me sound like an over glorified America. Heck yeah,
No,
American,
no,
right?
no, no. That's actually it's pretty cool. I didn't even realize that. I mean, that could fundamentally change the way. I mean, soccer's always been a popular sport here, but not as massive as people think it is. I mean, we did host the World Cup in like '92, I think. So,
Like,
or '94, I believe. But yeah, I mean,
mm,
people don't
yeah.
realize that.
I mean, the thing is that it's really hard to get into America right now. For a lot of people that, especially in nations where soccer is glorified, super hard to get into America. Say you're a soccer player from Afghanistan, you can't really play a game in Houston, Texas right now. There's a whole visa situation going on,
Yeah,
travel ban.
absolutely.
Yeah,
The
so
trial
maybe in the
ban's
future.
well,
Yeah.
it's
What?
gonna be interesting to see the future. I'll be interested to see how. I'll be interested to see how many homegrown soccer players we make in the next 10 years.
Yeah, I have a weird thing with the word homegrown,
Why is
because
that?
it's
Oh, I guess because we're all people from of foreign
no,
backgrounds,
because
right?
no, I'm going on the idea that essentially this is a Jerry Seinfeld joke, but it's true. Is that the basically with a lot of these companies, or with a lot of the leagues, they're just saying, all right, this guy is not from our town. We're just buying him to wear our clothes, and then we're rooting for the clothes. You know, we're saying, yay, person that's wearing clothes that we're proud of. That's essentially what it is. It has nothing to do with the people that are actually living there, right? He says if you go to a college game or go to a high school game, that is the people you need to be rooting for, because that's the actual people from that area.
Oh,
You know,
interesting. Okay, you think?
it was funny. It was he said it in a manner that was hilarious, but I kind of agreed with the idea. It's just like, yeah, that you buy the players, kind of like the Oakland Raiders used to be the Los Angeles Raiders. You used to be the San Francisco
Not
Raiders, are going to be the Las Vegas Raiders now.
Las Vegas Raiders, but okay, their mascot's a pirate, but there is no body of water in Las
And
Vegas.
yeah, that's a good point. Well, they're Raiders. They're not pirates. So maybe there's a
Yeah, but the mock-up of a raider, when you look at the logo, is
he has
essentially
a
a
patch on
pirate.
his
Though
eye.
he has a patch on his eye. Yeah, but I guess I guess we're trying to go with some kind of like Mad Max type of like raider, but I don't know. Like maybe maybe he'll come in on like a dirt bike and he'll be playing guitar or something.
Is that how they do it in
Yeah,
Las Vegas?
that's what they do in Mad Max. If you've ever seen that, I don't know if you ever saw the new one, but
Oh,
it's really good. Like, but I mean, yeah, I mean, Vegas is really set to take off though. I mean,
yeah. I keep talking. Like that's my fault that I brought that up so many times.
no,
It's
no,
because
no, no. It's actually interesting though.
yeah.
I mean,
because I have been looking into it. It's there. You have these two national teams. You now have a hockey team, which is the number one sport in Canada, and you would now have a football team, which is the number one sport in America. And they both have teams, so it gives people a reason to like go visit Vegas now, even if you don't gamble. Even if you don't gamble, there's more to do in Vegas, from my understanding, than just gamble. There's shows galore. It's like go
well,
see
even
Beyond and then go see the Raiders.
even Sheldon Addison, the chairman of Las Vegas Sands, and Steve Wynn of Wynn Resorts, they've been already started being named as like top contenders for uh, like Forbes 50 list of like influential people. I
Oh,
mean, there is a sense of like Vegas being like possibly like another West Coast phenomenon, like you'd said. Um, I'd be interested to see in the next 20 years like how it transforms, and they just legalized pot too.
oh, did
So
they?
yeah, it's becoming more and more. I'm trying to think. Growing wise, I imagine Colorado would be the best, but I mean, if Vegas is starting to take over a little bit of that business, that's good, probably. Yeah.
So I only followed a little bit up here in Canada, but from my understanding, that the having a dispensary is very much a taboo thing up here in Canada, but down in say Colorado or I guess Nevada now, that you're allowed to have a dispensary. So to put that into a different term, is you can operate a store, but
Mm-hmm.
and have the products that you want to distribute in that store, but up in Canada, the store is owned by the government, right? And so they choose on who gets to sell uh, either liquor or cigarettes, or in this aspect, marijuana.
But so wait, well, why is it a taboo in Canada though?
Well, it's not taboo. I was just saying that the idea is that who controls the store, right? Who's
Oh,
distributing
okay.
the products is the
So who
store.
do we
And
charge them?
right. And so the only people that are allowed to have the store is the government up here. But down in the States, you can be the Walmart or you can be the Quickie Mart of, said THC thing.
Oh, I get
You
it.
can
I'm
be,
brown. Quickie Mart. Haha. I get it. I'm
no,
brown.
that had
Quickie. No,
nothing to
I'm just
do with
kidding. I'm
it.
just kidding. I'm just
That had nothing to do with that. There's
I'm just kidding.
legitimately Quickie Mart that I can walk to right now.
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, that's an interesting thought, though. I'd be interested to see how what the next 10 years brings in, though, as far as marijuana revenue. They're already talking about it. How I think I spoke to some doctor about how Florida now is actually starting to see increase in mental health cases because of their new legal pot increase. Or sorry, not Florida, but he said he had done some research in Nevada about how there's an increase in medical pot, and
Right.
how they're starting to become more of a it's less of a taboo, but it's starting to cause more mental health issues now.
Mental health issues.
Yeah,
What, from people smoking the marijuana?
yeah. I mean, there's always those cases where people have a bad batch, and they freak out, and it almost causes them to like dehumanize themselves a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know enough about it. I'm not a smoker.
No,
It's
likewise.
in the news, and so you hear about it, and it becomes a thing. You're like, oh, okay, what's this all about? And it's because it's a new thing that the kids are talking about. Kids, right? But yeah, for me, I'm
Well,
just like, it'd be cool if you can invest in the business maybe and make some money off of it. That'd be cool. But I'm not I'm not big on the consumption.
you spoke earlier about well, I mean, if Vegas is going to be the contender there, I mean, having those medical marijuana legalized would be great for Amazon. I mean, like, look, if their employees like to smoke,
Yeah.
it'd be a quick move. From what I've read so far, they're saying that Toronto is probably going to be the most likely spot for the new HQ two, though.
The HQ
Um,
two. Oh yeah,
yeah,
the
headquarter too.
Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. Um, they
I
said
mean,
that they said.
I want to know
Sorry.
what the profit. What would be awesome? Well, what would be good about that? I'm trying to think. Is that your cost of employee would be 30% cheaper, because the dollar to the Canadian dollar right now is 30%. Like you, for every American dollar, there's 30 cents added on to the Canadian dollar.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so
Well,
$1 American is $1.25, $1.30 Canadian.
well,
So
they're
you'd be
saying the fact that there's like you're more likely to hire foreign workers. It's easier to get foreign workers in Toronto than it is um in the U.S. right as of now. Don't know how those laws are going to change in the next 10 years, but or even the next 2 or 3. Before
yeah.
they even start building. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, if you're
Other
getting
areas that are in.
there's a tad delay. But if they're factory workers and you're trying to get stuff over the border, I'm just wondering how that would work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Because it's not like there's a
So,
free trade agreement, or like with the current president, we're talking about like ripping up certain trade agreements or renegotiating them.
like
And
NAFTA.
yeah, NAFTA. So
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. I mean, Trump's already
so
talked about punishing companies
want to go
who charge us
overseas
unfair wage.
or
Yeah,
charge
who want to go
unfair wages?
overseas.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, the idea of like eliminating H1N1 is that it lowers wages for everyone here. People you can hire someone for half the cost of whatever it is.
Hmm. Don't
Like
know, man.
especially IT and stuff, like software engineers and stuff like that. I mean, that's the idea. Yeah, but
That's a big thing
uh,
up here in Canada. They said that within the next 2-3 years, is that there's going to be a major glut in Canada for IT, for everything IT in Canada, especially in the healthcare industry.
wait, when you say glut, what do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, not glut. Other way around. There's going to be a major need, shortage.
Shortage.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a shortage of jobs in Canada.
So
I mean,
there's going to be just
there's gonna be a demand for jobs. So.
yeah. So there's going to be tons of people that are needing
Sorry.
to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking over a little bit. There's a little bit of a
Sorry.
delay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry. Go
no.
ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a ton of jobs going to be needed in a couple years here for in Canada for the IT sector.
Well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Um, with that settled though, we're about 15 minutes past 6. I think that's gonna be our show for today.
Yeah, you fun hitting the Shui with P and J. Hope you guys enjoyed our business random ramblings of random business books, random businesses, and marijuana consumption over there in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, geez, no. Yeah.
Kidding. But
Thank
yeah,
you, sir.
thank you,
Well,
man.
we'll be broadcasting soon again. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.